Hello my beautiful friends, and welcome to another video in our Boundaries 2.0 series. This series exists because boundaries are so important. They are so impactful. They definitely have changed my life the moment I started giving myself permission to set boundaries. And with that also, in parallel, decide to make more requests. It's all about expressing and asserting myself more, and doing that because I'm tapping more into what I want, what's important to me, what affects me, and what is in my integrity. And I want that for all of you guys too. Now, one of my problems and one of our barriers is that there is so much misinformation and misunderstanding about boundaries and just making requests that comes from our quick fix social media setup here. A lot of us are learning how to take care of ourselves and find our integrity from social media, which in general is usually found in quick little information bites, as opposed to these bigger picture, more rounded, complete concepts. So with this series, I'm hoping to add some much needed nuance and also next steps, next levels that come with using boundaries in a way that is really productive and useful and wonderful for you. And also doesn't have you quit, stop using these really helpful tools early because you think that they don't work, but the reason is because you just haven't been set up well to understand them properly and therefore to be able to really use them properly for yourselves. But that's okay. That's really where I come in as a mindset coach. I help you integrate all of this beautiful, brilliant knowledge that you have and actually make sure it flows into your behavior. And in doing that, we have to pull a lot of blocks and barriers and obstacles out of the way. Those things that are standing in your way from being able to just execute on what you want. And that is also exactly what we do in our group coaching membership, Dare Darling. So if you'd like to join us, if you know this is the kind of work you need in your life, taking all that intellectual knowledge and actually translating it into your real life, then come and join us in Dare Darling. The link is down below. All right, in this boundaries lesson, what I want to talk about today is what happens after the boundary. And therefore, a step 2 that I want you to add in some cases when you're setting boundaries, and in particular, when you're setting boundaries with people who are somewhat difficult or somewhat opinionated, or people who you think will be unhappy in some way about the boundary that you've set. And with that, you worry that their reaction is going to affect you. Now, this is not uncommon to care very much about upsetting somebody else, about disappointing somebody else, about somebody else not being happy with you. And this is a lot of the coaching work that I've had to do myself. I've had to stop taking so much responsibility and ownership of other people's emotions. I've had to very carefully relearn that that is not my responsibility and not even something that I can control, no matter how much I try, no matter how much I have tried over my life. And that work has been hard and it has been long, but it has been some of the most rewarding work, some of the most freeing work that I've done. It's freed up so much of my time, energy, and just resources more globally. And it's helped me make better decisions for myself. And even with all of that work, even with all of that incredible progress that I've made, I still find my mind would rather not upset somebody. And sometimes I still get activated. I still notice as a default, I will get activated when somebody I care about is upset. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily. I think that's quite a normal reaction to not want somebody else to be upset that you love and care about. However, the problem for me is when I let that control my actions. And in this case, when I let that stop me from setting a boundary or following through on a boundary or making a request. Now I'm letting their feelings and their reaction and my want to avoid that control my decisions in my life. And I want better for myself and you. So when you set a boundary with somebody, notice you've got some hesitation about because you anticipate that they may possibly be upset with you in some way. They might be disappointed, frustrated, they might feel a sense of loss, they might feel even angry. I want you to notice that hesitation and that anticipation, that prediction that you're having. And with that, I want you to plan not only for the boundary that you're setting, or the request that you're going to make, but I also want you to plan for how you're going to take care of yourself if they have that reaction. And this looks like thinking about, how am I going to feel? How have I felt in the past? How have I felt in other situations like this, where somebody has felt this way, where somebody's been angry with me, where somebody's been disappointed with me? What emotional reaction would I typically have to that? And next, what do I need in that moment when I'm feeling that way to take care of myself so that I don't not follow through with my own boundary consequence or want to take back that request that I made? What do I need to take care of myself in that moment so I can be with that emotion instead of reacting to the emotion to make it go away? And knowing the cognitive program, knowing that your emotion comes from your thought, I also want you to ask, why will I be feeling that emotion in that situation? Why, when the situation is that this person is frustrated, do I feel this emotion? What is the thought about their frustration that's causing this emotion, that's creating this emotion in my body? Because then when you find the thought, you might actually find that you don't even believe that thought. You might find that that emotion is coming from a thought that you don't even believe. And when you can put your attention on a thought that you don't believe and disengage from it, detach from it, then you can also get some distance from that emotion. And you can also stop the cycle of the thought perpetuating that emotional response. And that just makes you taking care of yourself and managing your own reaction so much easier. So attending to the emotion and asking, what do I need to not react to this emotion? That's one thing. And going up and attending to the thought as well is the second thing. Because in seeing that thought, you might be able to stop the reaction altogether. If there's a boundary that you feel like is really in your integrity to make, or a request that is really important for you to make, and you're not executing on it, then it might even be useful to skip ahead and look at what your anticipated reactions are for other people, especially if you're somebody who's taken responsibility for other people's emotions as a pattern in your life, particularly if you are a people pleaser, for example. Because when you step ahead and do this work on your reaction to their negative emotion, you might find that this is actually the space, this reaction is what you're trying to avoid, and therefore the reason why you're not setting the boundary that's in your integrity or making the request that's in your integrity. And if you can look at this space and make sure this reaction is one that you feel confident and safe with, then it might actually free you up to go ahead and execute on the boundary or request that you're just kind of telling yourself right now is just way too hard. But it's only too hard because you're worried about this reaction. This work has been game-changing with me, with making me feel safe in myself to hold my boundaries and to make requests. And if you're finding yourself stuck or not acting on your boundaries or requests, then it very much might be the thing for you too. So I'm very excited for you to try this out. Let me know how it goes and let me know if you get stuck and you have any other questions. Give me a thumbs up in this video if you want to see more content like this, if this kind of content about boundaries in particular is useful for you. If you found this useful, catch the other videos in the series too. All right, my beautiful friends, see you next time.